Hello, welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel. It's me, Matt Hill, and I'm riding solo for a very quick video here where I'm going to run through tonight's 8 first games from the World Grand Prix 2024. The first round gets underway in about 3 or 4 hours from now, and I'm just going to whiz through all of the games and give you a bet from each game, which will hopefully give you some ideas if you are looking to build an ACCA tonight. And I'll be sure at the end of the video to let you know which ones my favourite picks are, but I have picked out an angle from each match for the purposes of this video. So we'll dive straight in then. I'm going to bring the games up on the right-hand side of the screen next to me there. And first up, we have Josh Rock versus Ryan Joyce. Now, I'm going for a bit of an upset here. I'm going to back Ryan Joyce to win this at 7-4. Big fan of Josh Rock, and I think he's in really good form as well. But when I've been doing a little bit of a dive into the stats around this tournament, obviously doubling twice as important in this tournament where you have to start and finish on the outer ring. And there's a big quite a big gap between these two when it comes to their double checkout percentage. One across the entire year, where Joyce is one of the very, very best. But more importantly, in the last 3 months, since July 1st, there's actually 6% difference between these two in the checkout stages, in the checkout stakes in favour of the underdog Joyce. So I think at 7-4, he's more than worth a chance. Joyce is not a very glamorous player, but he's a very solid player on that double 16. I expect him to be getting off. Rock, on his one visit here previously, lost 2-0 to Michael van Gerwen, averaged in the 70s, and had all sorts of trouble getting off in legs. So that would be a slight concern. It's enough for me to want a chance Joyce to win at 7-4. Next game is Brendan Dolan versus Martin Schindler, and I think this will be a comfortable win for the favourite Schindler. He's around 1-2 to win this game, and yeah, I think that's about right, to be honest. Brendan Dolan, it's hard to categorically rule him out. Obviously, he has history in this tournament. He's a very experienced pro. Fair play to him, still qualifying for this at this stage of his career. But Brendan tends to have good days and good weeks rather than good years now, and he's not in the best of form. I'm sure he'd admit that himself. In the last 3 months, his checkout percentage ranks him about 110th, 115th in the PDC, which is not going to be good enough to win the World Grand Prix, put it that way. And he comes up against Martin Schindler here, who's fresh off the back of winning his second Euro Tour title of the season. He's having a great year as the wall, and comes here full of confidence, potentially a dark horse in this tournament. I certainly think he should have too much for Dolan, and the 2-0 win does appeal. He's shortening all the time, but 8-5 is available right across the board at the moment. I think that's a bet, to be honest. On to the third game then, which is Johnny Clayton versus Richie Edhouse, and I think this is going to be a great game. I have gone for Clayton to win it 2-1, but it's not one of my more confident selections, to be honest. Very impressed with Richie Edhouse for the last 12 to 18 months, really. Fully deserves his place in this tournament, but you just never know with someone's first major how they're going to settle, how they're going to play. Is he going to be able to replicate that form? The thing in his favour is that it's not just Pro Tour form. We have seen it on the Euro Tour as well. So we can know he could do it in front of a big stage and a big crowd. But Richie Edhouse, obviously, he's in a new phase of his career, but I have memories of him at Ali Pali having a really tough time and struggling to adapt to the surroundings and the crowd. Now, I think he's in a better place now, and I think it's going to be a far less intimidating audience tonight in Leicester in round one of the Grand Prix than it would be at Ali Pali. So I think we'll see a good performance from Richie Edhouse. Johnny Clayton has been improving the last few months after a tough time off the hockey, losing his father last year. He admitted knocked him for 6. Good to see the ferret starting to get back towards his best. He's still not there yet, but I do think he's in pretty good nick. Had some good runs on the floor recently. And I think if you're putting a gun to my head making me pick someone to win this, it probably would be Clayton. As I said, 2-1 in a tight affair, 12-5. But yeah, that's not one of my stronger picks. Cracking game up next. We have Raymond van Barneveld taking on Riccardo Pietrezco, and I couldn't really pick a bet in this game, to be honest. So I've not put one up at all. And there's a mitigating factor here. It's Riccardo Pietrezco's injury. Now, he suffered quite a bad hand injury, and he actually withdrew from a game after one leg against Ross Smith in pain. He couldn't complete the game. This was only a matter of 2 or 3 weeks ago. We've since seen him average 68 in the 6-0 loss to Vincent van der Voort, so extremely worrying. I expected the German to withdraw from this, but to be honest, in the last couple of weeks, he's played in the Players' Championship, and not only has he got through his games, he's actually won a few games as well. He's been averaging in the low 90s and in the high 80s. So not vintage Pietrezco, but He is fit and firing, seemingly ready to go tonight. If he plays to any kind of standard, he'll fancy his chances here, but it's all dependent on that injury. And because I don't know how bad that injury really is, I just can't put a bet up in this game. Now, Raymond van Barneveld is a favourite. Van Barneveld has had a pretty good season, continues to qualify for the majors despite being in his twilight years. And like I said about Dolan, he has good nights and good weeks in him. I think he's a little bit more consistent than Dolan, to be fair. And he's been playing well on the floor. So Barney, this is a good opportunity for him against a potentially wounded animal in Pietrezco, but we will give it a watching brief, I think. Luke Humphreys takes on Stephen Bunting in a cracking contest. These two actually met in the last Pro Tour floor final last week. Bunting made all three finals in consecutive days, which has only been done twice before in the history of darts. So that tells you what great Nick the Bullet is in coming into this tournament. But he did lose all three of those finals. As I say, the latter of that trio to Humphreys. And Humphreys, to be honest, he's second favourite, near enough favourite to win this tournament. He's a defending champion. Up until that day, I would have been opposing him quite strongly. I thought he'd been bang out of form, actually, the last couple of months. But, he was really, really good on Thursday. So that does put me off. I would probably be leaning more towards Bunting 2-1 if I hadn't seen Humphreys play his good stuff last week. And Humphreys said in his interview afterwards, he's not been at his best, but he thinks the big stage brings it out best out of him. And I would be hastened to disagree with that assessment, given what we saw from him on the big stage, particularly last year and a little bit this year as well. But interested to see this game. Think it could go either way. No outcome would shock me. But if I was forced to make a selection, it would be that 2-1 win for Humphreys, the favourite, 12-5 available at QuimBet there. Rob Cross takes on Luke Littler in the penultimate game of the night, and by God, this could be a cracker. Littler is favourite to win this tournament. I can't have that, I'm afraid. I'm massively in awe of Littler, but nobody has ever won the World Grand Prix at their first crack, taking out the first edition, obviously, which was everyone's first. Phil Taylor inevitably won that one. But this is a hard tournament to get used to, is what I'm saying. And some of the best players in world darts have an awful record here. Rob Cross is kind of one of them, to be fair. He's only made it beyond the first round a couple of times, but crucially, he's been here many times. He's played the format. He understands the format. Made changes to his approach. I know he said he's going to be starting on double 18 this year. I think that's a good call for him. I do think that is his best double. So looking forward to seeing how he gets on here tonight. Littler could obviously come in and blow him away. You're expecting him to go off with 160s and all the usual fireworks that come with a Luke Littler performance. But I'm interested to see how he handles it in legs where he can't get off, because he can sometimes chase his doubles around the board. He can sometimes get frustrated. It's a very short format. If Cross wins the first set, I think it's a long way back for Littler. I think he might lose his head. And I think Cross is experienced enough to get over the line. I think this whole game hinges on the first set. However, when one man's 15-8 and the other one's 2-5, you've got to be backing the outsider. So I think Cross is a better 15-8, available with AK best 7-4 across the board elsewhere. That's also a backable price for me. Final game of the night, I'm expecting another upset here, albeit it be a lesser one. Jan van Veen versus Ross Smith. I want to be with the Dutchman here, Van Veen. He struggled himself a little bit to put games to bed this year. Some great performances. I thought we might have seen him kick on and get that first floor title. He hasn't done so yet. A lot of quarterfinal and semi-final exits. He is prone to throwing in the odd stinker, but wow, is he talented. And I think he's a future major winner in waiting, guaranteed. But Ross Smith, this is more about Ross Smith, to be honest. I've not been that impressed with Ross Smith in the last few weeks. I'm a massive fan of his, but I think he's dipped below his usual standards in the last few weeks. Sure, he'll get back to it. I don't think there's much wrong, just a little bit of a sticky patch. But all the same, willing to take him on with Van Veen, who's a very good doubler, a very good combination finisher, and most crucially, he can live with Smith's power scoring. So if Smith is on, Van Veen won't be fazed by the 180s. So that's my summary of tonight. Van Veen and Cross would be in my best bet, along with Schindler to win 2-0 and Ryan Joyce to beat Josh Rock. That fourfold actually comes in at around 40-1 at time of speaking. So if you want an ambitious bet, that might be one for you. But thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon here on Odds Now. Good luck with your bets as well if you are playing tonight.